Ciao Juventini of the world, my name is Giuseppe, welcome back on the channel. Good morning, Bianconeri. Buongiorno, Bianconeri. Yesterday I made a video about a controversial topic, Leao, that was singing an anti-Juve song in the bus after the victory of Roma. We spoke about it. If you want to see my opinion about it, go back on the video of the late night. Maybe you missed it. And today we are back to speak about controversial topic. And I will tell you even closer this time to Juventus because we have to speak about the famous words of Max Allegri in the post-game of the victory against Empoli, where he said in front of cameras and microphones, if you have a gun, you can't go to war against a tank. Words, if you are just taking these words, it's a disaster because people took that sentence, put it on social media, made videos about it and so on and so on, gave their opinion, went into spaces on Twitter. And if you're just analyzing these words, it looks like Max Allegri after match day 3 is already saying, I put my hands in front, ragazzi, we give up. We don't have a team that is strong enough to go and compete with the other ones, to go and compete to win the Scudetto. So our objective is top 4 at maximum, even if we will have to battle to enter in that top 4, but forget already about the Scudetto. A wrong message that you sent. A lot of people were disgusted by these sentences, already pointing out Max Allegri as the one that is using excuses after match day 3. After 7 points, we have just 2 points behind Inter and Milan. And if it's true that if you stop there, well, it's a disaster. I tell you honestly, it's a disaster. But the thing is, there is nothing better, if you want to know the truth, than go to the original source. And who better than Max Allegri himself? What is better than go to the original interview and to listen to the words? I have a luck that I am able to speak Italian, so I heard the complete context and when and how he said it, and that's what I want to speak about in today's video. I want to continue giving you also an update about the physical condition about Paul Pogba, but also about Federico Gatti. Yesterday, surprising that he was also injured because I didn't see anything after Empoli Juve, and then another news in the Juve world, so remain for the entirety of the channel. Today, no editing on the channel because I want really to give an opinion. It's international break, so we have time. We have time to speak about these kind of things, and not necessarily we have to go to the front page. So, maximum of like if you didn't yet. Continue to subscribe. Thank you. Yesterday we reached even more Juventini on the channel, and that's thanks to you. Now, we start immediately speaking about that famous sentence, if you have a gun, you can't go to war against a tank. I already told you that it was absolutely not well perceived by Juventini. Some Juventini were also linking that sentence with the famous sentence of Antonio Conte, the one that was actually scandalous, that a lot of people were shocked about hearing Antonio saying, you can't go to a restaurant with 10 euro if you go to a restaurant that is asking you 100 euro, which means you can't compete with low budget, with low team in a competition, because he was speaking about Champions League in competition where other teams, other clubs have more potential in terms of economic, but also in terms of players, in terms of infrastructures, in terms of everything. So it's impossible to go and compete. Ragazzi, it's absolutely not what he said. And that's important to understand because we have to go into context. First of all, let's be honest, let's say the truth. Are we favorite to win that Scudetto? No, we are not. Said by Massimiliano Allegri in press conference before Empoli Juve, said by Romeo Agresti when I'm speaking with him, said by all of you in my comment section on YouTube, said by everyone. At the moment, we see that Inter and Milan, they started really with a turbo start in Serie A because they have 9 on 9. And on top of that, they already played against a potential good team, because we are speaking about Fiorentina for Inter that they trashed 4-0, and also the victory over Roma from Milan. Roma is in a difficulty, is having a really difficult start, but it's still Roma, still a valid team that I didn't predict high ranking at the end of 23-24, but anyway, it is still Roma, an annoying team to play against. So this team already started fantastically. I will also put Napoli there, because despite their loss against Lazio, Napoli is Napoli. They are the Scudetto winners. They have still in their team a player like Osimhen, a player like Kvaratskhelia, and so on and so on. So I have to say that these three teams are favorite. Also on the paper, if you are looking at the midfield of Inter, it's just another level. They were already strong in their midfield with players like Mkhitaryan, Barella, Çalhanoğlu. On top of that, they have added players like Fratesi. On the right side, they have difficulties when Dumfries was not playing, and even when he was playing, they had nobody else to change him. Now they have put a Cuadrado. Look at the cross that he did in that 4-0 win against Fiorentina. So if you are looking at the midfield of Inter, they are at another level. If you're looking at the Mercato that Milan did thanks to Juve, thanks to the non-qualification to Champions League of Juventus, well, look a bit about their players. Pulisic, Chukwueze, Okafor. Milan was sometimes lacking some depth, and they were able to fix them. So I don't want to speak about Napoli because I already told you, but even Lazio, look at the center midfield of Lazio with now Guendouzi, Kamada, and so on. So we are speaking about teams that objectively, on paper, have probably more depth, more ready team to start winning immediately. So I am not shocked when Max Allegri is saying we are on paper not favorite to win. But that sentence could be seen as I give up. But no, that's not what he's saying, because Max Allegri, if you're taking everything in context, first of all, he was speaking about the technical staff, about Magnanelli, about Padoin, about his vice coach Landucci. He was speaking and giving an opinion, also saying, it's fantastic to have also sometimes other faces with new ideas that are entering your staff. But attenzione, I am satisfied, but it's not that we changed so much. For the question, what changed in that Juventus from 23-24 that is diverse, that is different than the one of 22-23. He's saying it's not that we changed, we have more time to work, we have a different team. I believe that the intelligence of the coach is to understand and be aware of the team at disposal. Because if you have a gun, you can't go to war against a tank. And that's what has been cut everywhere on social media, he continued to say, you need to find a different strategy. If you have a type of players, you have to work in a certain way. If you have another type of players, you have to work in another way. This year we have young players, probably with less experience, but that will reach maturity, but they can't reach it in 1 month only. So we have to run. We have to run. And as Braida was always saying, in football, you don't have to run, but it helps. So what is Allegri saying? Can we compare it to the sentence of Antonio Conte? Absolutely not. Because if Antonio Conte, first of all, let's put it in context, it was at the end of the season, when they already won the Scudetto, that was already planning the next season, Max Allegri is speaking about it after match day 3. But if Antonio Conte was already suddenly closing the door, saying it was impossible to compete, Max Allegri is opening a door. He's trying to give an alternative, because he's saying, it's true, with a gun you can't go to war against a tank. But that's the intelligence of the coach that needs to understand and be aware of the team that he has at disposal, finding another strategy. And that's important if you really want to have a good interpretation of his word. He's not saying that it's impossible to go and win the Scudetto, to compete with the Scudetto. Yes, difficult. Yes, we are not favorite. He's not saying it, but probably we have a less strong team at the moment on paper than the other ones. We have probably less continuity than other players, less physical strength at the moment than the other players, but that means that we have to find another strategy. And that's important, because he's telling to his guys, not directly, but through camera and microphones of television, ragazzi, there is a way, there is a possibility, and we have to change it. And what is he asking? To run. To run, to run, to run. Words that he already repeated a lot of times and that we were able to see in pre-season against Udinese, a bit more against Bologna in that second half, a bit less against Empoli, where Juventus played a more mature game, a game more of managing the moments, but still pressing and running in certain moments of that game, especially when that period was where we scored that goal between the 15th and the 30th from the first half. So I am absolutely not shocked. I am not there to say we already gave up on the Scudetto after match day 3, because it's absolutely not true. I think that Max Allegri was quite realistic, saying, oh ragazzi, you say yourself, you analyze yourself, we don't have the strongest team on paper today, But my objective is to find another strategy to be able to compete. So for me, it's something that you can make a case about it. You can be controversial, you can be shocked or whatever. But if you're really looking at the source, as always, looking at the source, reading the article, not stopping at the big headlines, well, you can understand the truth. And actually, there is absolutely nothing wrong. Now, we go to the second part of the video, a bit shorter, but an update about Paul Pogba that we were all scared about. Because, of course, when you see him not walking anymore on the pitch, not asking for the ball on the pitch while he's playing actually only 30 minutes, well, you're scared. Because we know Paul Pogba. You all told me and you asked me, Beppe, will Pogba recuperate? Will he be there against Lazio? Because yesterday we already received the news that there is no muscular injury. And that's already a fantastic news. A fantastic news. It's a slight overload in a muscle on the right thigh. A normal player, if we would speak about any other player on the world, well, they would already be there on the field against Lazio, and probably from the start. With Pogba, we have to be cautious, because he was already not a player at 100% of his physical condition. It's already a player that tried a few times to go again on the field to play. And after a few minutes, he had to go out. We all remember that last injury, I think it was against Cremonese, but I'm not sure, where he played 20 minutes and had to be out. And then we didn't see him for the remaining part of the season. And even during the pre-summer, we were not able to see him in friendlies. So with Paul Pogba, a slight muscular injury or an overload in the muscle can be something annoying, also psychologically, because you see it on the field when he's playing and when he has the opportunity to go with a shot. A lot of time he's taking back, he's waiting because he don't want to force, because mentally he's a bit scared to have another injury. He did against Empoli. He scored that goal that was correctly disallowed for a mini offside of Vlahovic. So he was growing, but then boom, again. Slight overload in the muscle. So can he be there on the bench against Lazio? Yes. Can he play? Yes. But will Pogba? I'm not ready to tell you, yes, I promise you he will be there. What about Federico Gatti? Gatti surprised me because I was absolutely not aware that he was injured. A small distortion at the left ankle. He will not go to national team, but it was absolutely not even planned that he would go with the new national team of Luciano Spalletti. He will be there at La Continassa to train. For him, no problems. No problems, so that's a fantastic news. But there is even more fantastic news for Federico Gatti. In September, he will probably sit at the table to speak again about a contract negotiation, a contract renewal until 2028 with a pay rise to actually have more salary. He is a player that is fundamental for Juventus today and for the future. A player that Max Allegri is really believing in, but not only Max, but also the management. He received some offers from Premier League during the summer that were all refused by Juventus. We know it. We had to sell, but we didn't want to sell Federico Gatti. You will tell me, Beppe, if we believe that much in Federico, why is he not starting from the match day 1? Match day 2, we didn't see him. Why had we to wait match day 3 to see him? I will already told you, for me, at the moment, it's because of that partnership with Timo Weah, and we will see more and more of Federico Gatti. The last news before closing the channel, because today I'm a bit in a rush, you saw it, there is no editing today. Joe Montemuro, coach from the Juventus women, is extending to 2026. Sometimes I feel a bit bad that I have so much information about the women and I'm not speaking enough about it. Well, Joe Montemuro is a coach that I had the opportunity to spend, I believe, like 8 or 9 or maybe 10 lives together last season on Juventus Twitch, doing the kind of press conferences, English, Italian, with the people in the chat, journalists and people. I discovered a fantastic person, but he's also a fantastic, especially also a fantastic coach. I'm happy. I'm happy that we give continuity to the ideas of football of Joe Montemuro, a coach that already has proven with Juventus, but also on international level, the level that he has. So I'm really happy about that. Ragazzi, if I forgot something, I will try to make a video in the evening. Can we go live? I don't know. Or live or a video, a second video in the evening. Put a maximum of like if you didn't yet. Continue to subscribe. Grazie, forza. Juve.